What I'm about to say is objectively true. Literally every single person that has played this game is going to agree with me on this. And I don't want to like defend the pay to win because you guys know my stance on the pay to win, right? But I think the strongest argument against pay to win in this game is the fact that in Throne and Liberty, it's very much, and I say this in my video, a rock, paper, scissors, pick your poison like situation. So if you take a look at my build, for example, I'm maxed out. Well, technically not anymore because they just increased the cap, but let's just pretend I'm maxed out because I will be. And I've got double arc boss weapon. You know, I'm fucking decked out, right? If you're a free-to-play Andy that is playing mage, you will blow my ass up. If you're a free-to-play Andy that is playing melee evasion, I cannot kill you. Right? That is the reality. So it's not like other games where if you're a pay-to-win animal, you're just a god, you're a raid boss on the battlefield. In Throne, you will always have a hole, whether that's a lack of damage. I mean, I could build out so that I don't really die insanely taking to everyone else, but I'm not going to deal much damage as a Great Sword Dagger, right? So for me, you will always have, for anyone's build and anyone's character, whether you're pay to win or free to play, you will always have a weakness. And whether you're a whale or free to play, you will always be weak and strong to someone else. That's the reality. That's the reality. I notice a lot of people don't really talk about this specific thing when they are explaining the pay to win. And I think this is very significant. All right, guys. So we are going to continue this conversation and we are going to be explaining everything in regards to the pay to win. I wanted to make this a YouTube video, so I might as well just knock it out on stream. A lot of you guys have been asking. Constant new players. Excuse me. We're always getting brand new players that are coming in the stream, and probably one of the most commonly asked question is how pay to win is it? Can you explain the pay to win? So let's break down the pay to win. Okay, so what I've done is I've listed out the vertical progression, all of the vertical progression in Throne and Liberty. Okay, so you have gear purchasing, enhancing your gear, enhancing gear. Let me write that in, gear and skills. You have your mastery, your traits, and trait resonance, and runes. This is what it is. Okay, so let's go through this one by one. This won't take too long, I promise you. So we've got the gear purchasing. This, guys, it's pay to win. There's no way you can argue around it, right? There's an auction house here, and you can purchase everything. Now, keep in mind the game has evolved quite a bit, and you can pretty much buy everything on the auction house now. And if you can't, you could buy the recipe for it, allowing you to craft it along with other mats. When you purchase the gear, you're going to get the base level gear. That's what you're going to get. You're not going to get this gear upgraded. Once you do purchase the gear with Lucent is the cash shop currency that you can swipe for. You also farm Lucent in the game, by the way. So you can just think of it like gold that you can purchase with money. So you've got the gear purchasing, enhancing gear and skills. Okay, so once you get this gear, you're going to get base level gear. All right, so let's take a look at my character here. You can see this item right here is level 9. Okay, plus 9. I can enhance it and get it up to 12. There are lower tiers. There's like green gear and blue gear. Don't worry about that. You're going to get purple gear. Okay, everyone's going to get purple gear. Once you get purple gear, you're going to want to upgrade it to max level, which is 9. They just recently increased the cap. They literally increased the cap to 12 this week, 9-10 months after the game. It was well due, but as far as our region goes, assuming we don't go straight to the Korean endgame, which is probably going to be the case, you're going to have this. And in order to upgrade, you're going to need these armor growth stones. How do you get these armor growth stones? Can you pay to win these armor growth stones? How do you pay for the growth stones? Well, let me show you. I'm going to open up my crafter here, and you're going to see that these growth stones, it doesn't matter whether it's weapon, armor, or accessories, by the way. The only difference is the type of ore which you're farming. So you're going to see that these are the mats that are required to actually craft the growth stone. You cannot purchase the growth stone directly from the auction house. You can pay to win rare magic powder. You get magic powder. There's levels of these. You can pay to win these powders. You can pay to win these ores or these rubrics, or we're just going to call them ore. But you cannot swipe for the rare polished crystal. This is something that you have to farm in game. Okay. Now, there are some effective ways to farm these. You can literally do a mindless grind. I don't know if that's intended. If it's not intended, then the amount of rare polished crystals that you can farm a day is limited. But right now, the best way to farm these is just by repeating lower level dungeons and killing lower level dungeon elites and just farming it over and over again. But it's only viable in the current end game because you're farming lower tier dungeons with juiced gear. I don't know how viable this is going to be on global, especially with tier 1, when we have way less gear and everyone's pretty much on tier 1 dungeons. So if we were to remove that as a realistic possibility to farm these things, this right here is absolutely the bottleneck. It is the reason why, one of the biggest reasons why I'm stuck here. In fact, a lot of people have been recently discovering ways to farm the rare polished gear because they just recently increased the level cap or the enhancement level from +9 to +12. And a lot of us were stuck, even us pay to win whales, were stuck upgrading this to +12. We just couldn't do it because we are lacking the polished crystals. But yeah, essentially you can swipe for everything except for these polished crystals, which you are going to have to farm in game. So that's how the gear enhancing works. What about the skills? What about the skills? What is this? I don't know why this is spelled this way, but what about the skills? So in Throne Liberty, if you hit K, you've got these skills right here. You can upgrade your skills. What is the process of upgrading your skills? The same exact process as growth stones. You're going to need these ores and you're going to need parchments. Ores, again, you can pay to win. Parchments, you cannot pay to win. Parchments, they are like the polished crystals of skill books. Okay, only these you really can't farm over and over again like you can with the polished crystals. This is absolutely a gate. Okay, now in the early game, polished crystals, parchments, they used to not really be a gate. You just got them like candy. They were everywhere. But NCSoft has kind of reworked this whole enhancement system, and now they are absolutely a bottleneck when it comes to the enhancing of gear. So the +0 to +12 or +9 in global, and getting your skills maxed out, you're going to be bottlenecked. If you're a whale, you're not going to be able to do everything day one. You're not going to be able to max out your gear day one. You will be bottlenecked to a certain degree, and that's going to keep the gap between free to play and pay to win a little bit closer. Next, we have mastery. What is mastery? Well, mastery is this. This is your mastery. Every single weapon you can upgrade. The mastery isn't pay to win at all because you need experience. Okay, I'm maxed out with my dagger here, so I'm going to use, let's select crossbow. The only way for me to upgrade this is by just getting experience, and the only way you get experience is by completing like dungeons and contracts mainly, along with other things. But yeah, you have to play the game. This isn't pay to win at all, so we're going to move on. Traits is your next form of vertical progression, and this is hands down the most pay to win part of Throne Liberty. Okay, so we're going to go back to our gear here. You're going to see right here, I have 3 different traits in my helmet: magic endurance, max health, and melee evasion. I have 4 melee evasion traits. You can see that by the 4 little segments below where it says melee evasion. 1, 2, 3, 4. That represents each trait. I'm not going to go through the whole trading system, just so that I can keep this video relatively short. But TLDR, it's pay to win. Why is it pay to win? Because you go to the auction house, you can buy the traits. Okay, it's that simple. Now, this right here, most people would say is the most pay to win part of Throne Liberty. Now, the reality is you can hit this cap. Okay, a free to play player is going to be max traits. Okay, it's just going to take you longer. A pay to win player can max out his traits. Well, day one now, I don't know about in launch, because launch there's milestones, so certain pieces of gear aren't going to be available. But the purple pieces that are available, you will be able to max trade it day one if you pay a lot of money. But if you wait and play the game, you will be able to max out your traits. And there is no RNG system to this. You get a trait, you put it in your gear, and you have it. There is a sys trading system where you can kind of feed lower level gear into it, but we're not going to go through that. Just know that this is the most pay to win system. You can do it from day one as a whale, and free to play players will eventually be able to max out their traits. Next thing we have are the trait residents. Now, the trait residents is the newest thing that was implemented in Throne Liberty, and I personally think this is definitely pay to win. Okay, when it comes to the trait residence system, We go to the trait again. Once you max out your traits, you're gonna have let me actually move this here. I'm gonna move this here down here. You're gonna have this resonance effect. This is an additional trait. Okay, in order for me to select my own trait, I need 80 of these stones for a tier 2 weapon. It's less for armor and it's less for tier 1. All right, I can gamba it for 4, but I mean, shit, I don't really recommend that. How do you get these? Well, you get these by feeding gear that you get into this, and you get to conversion tier 5. And then from here, you're going to see that you get at least 15 resonance stone fragments. And with these fragments, what you're going to do is, it's under accessories, you're going to craft these stones. Let me move my camera back. As you can see, 5 stones equals, or excuse me, 5 fragments equal 1 stone, right? Now, this I can pay to win, this I can pay to win, this I can pay to win, and this I can pay to win as well, because I could just buy gear with Lucent, feed it, and farm these infinitely. That will allow me to get the best in slot resonance trait effects. Now, can you get full trait resonance traits as a free-to-play player? Of course you can. It's not hard to get the resonance traits. It's very cheap, because what you do when you first add the resonance trait, I think it costs you it costs you very little to actually add a resonance trait, but it's an RNG roll, and you're gonna get some random trait. You're gonna want a specific trait, and if you're chasing for the specific trait you're going for, then it's pay to win. It's for sure pay to win. Now, when it comes to the trait resonance system, I would say that this is the only thing that is going to separate a pay-to-win player from a free-to-play player now. This is it, okay? Everything else on this list is doable, okay? As a free-to-play player, you will catch the pay-to-win player, except for this. With all of this stuff that's in the game, we're going to go over runes next. This right here becomes very difficult to min-max as a free-to-play player. Like, you will have the same amount of trait resonance as a free-to-play player, to a pay-to-win player, but you're not going to probably get the absolute best in slot ones. It will take you too long. I mean, you absolutely can, but it will take you too long. And I believe by the time you get there, like, the next level of gear will probably come out, because this is a big grind. I could be wrong about this, but I assure you, no free-to-play player is maxed out with all this shit yet. And this has been out for, I don't know, maybe a month now. Okay, and that leads us to runes. Now, runes was a new system that was implemented in the game, and this is not pay to win at all when it comes to the actual rune levels, because okay, so let me backtrack here and explain how this works. There's a new system called runes. Okay, so you take a piece of gear, and then you have 3 sockets. You open these sockets, and then you place these runes in them. You farm challenge dungeons, and you get runes from challenge dungeons along with other things. And this is a rune right here. I can just equip it. Now, each rune has a level, maximum level of 60. There's no way to pay to win this. You have to play the game. It's like experience. You can't pay to win it. You just continue to farm, and your runes will level up. Now, unlocking these slots, however, this does have a pay to win element to it, because the way you unlock these slots is you unlock them by using what's called hammers. Okay, so if I take this item right here, let's take this random one. Whoops. Let's take this random one here. It will cost me 2 hammers to unlock this slot. Okay, now, so this will be 2, 4, 6 hammers total to unlock it. And I want to actually unlock these in a specific order, right? So it's not just going to cost you 6 hammers. It's going to cost you a lot more. Now, this was originally a problem, because this whole system was completely fucked, but TLDR, without going too much into it, it's way better, and it's not a problem at all, as long as you're a little bit patient. When I say a little bit patient, I don't mean like you have to wait months. I mean, like, literally, you can just hard farm one day and you'll be fine. Right? And get the best in slot rune synergies. The reason why is because the way you get the rune hammers that are used to unlock these rune slots is you get runes. You get these runes, you farm these runes, and you disenchant them, and you get these rune fragments. I got 32 from, like, low level shit ones, right? That were level 20. And then what I'll do is I'll go to the crafter, and I will craft these hammers, just like this. 1,000 hammers gives me 10 rune hammers. So 100 fragments give you 1 rune hammer. So this is like super easy. Like you have to farm the runes anyway, right? You have to farm these runes anyway, and as you're farming them, you're gonna get enough hammers. It's gonna be super easy. So this is not a pay-to-win system at all. You can certainly fast track it, but no one's gonna complain about this. It's not a problem. That's pretty much the full breakdown. So TLDR, trait residence, this is what prevents free-to-play players from truly catching pay-to-win players. When I'm talking about like min-max gear. Now, we're not talking like a 20%, 10% difference in damage or anything crazy like that, right? This is just like really min-maxing the last, 100 stats or something like that. This isn't the biggest deal in the world, but if you're a min-maxer, yeah, you're going to need the trait residence, and I don't see a free-to-play player realistically ever being able to max out everything, including the best in slot trait residences, because it's like because you have to farm so many of those things. And you can't really start farming gear to feed into the substance transformation. You can't really start doing that until you finish all the other stuff, because you need those gear pieces to sell for Lucent, to use for traits. So this is really something that you're going to do last. When it comes to the traits, this is the most pay-to-win system. This is where you're going to feel the biggest power discrepancy. The biggest power difference. However, traits are something that you will absolutely catch pay-to-win whales on, because pay-to-win whales, once they get their shit fully traded out, there's nowhere to go. You're done, right? So free-to-play players will reach that level, and there's no power difference between them. Mastery, obviously, there's no pay-to-win there. Enhancing gear and skills, we talked about it. There's a little bit of a gate with actual items that you need to farm. And gear purchasing, this is just obviously just straight up pay to win. Now, gear purchasing also goes hand in hand with arc boss weapons. Arc boss weapons is hands down the most expensive items in the game. Some of these items can go for like $1,000, $2,000 each. However, I think I want to mention that arc boss weapons are more guild to win than pay to win. What do I mean by that? Well, all of the arc boss weapons that are listed on the auction house are given to guilds. That's right, us players, because the only way to get them is to farm arc bosses that spawn twice a week. And when you farm them, those items go to the best guilds that farm them. That's how it works. And the guilds determine whether or not they should give it to their own guildmates, sell it to their own guildmates, give it to their guildmates for free, or sell it in the auction house if it's tradable, right? So this is kind of, it's like, if you like, it's gonna cost you 1 to 2K if you're not in a guild and you just have to purchase it on the auction house. But even that, you're not gonna be able to purchase it relatively early, because the earlier ones in the beginning, they're all going to be given to the guilds, because your guild is significantly stronger by having players with arc boss weapons, and having more arc boss weapons in your guild allows you to farm more arc boss weapons. So the majority of the guilds in the beginning are going to keep it within their guild. This is why arc boss weapons are for sure more more guild to win than they are pay to win. I don't think there's anything else I can add to that. Most guilds are going to be, not most, actually I have no idea what most guilds are going to do in NA, but a lot of guilds will give these arc boss weapons out to free, whether they have like a DKP system or a loot council system. I know a lot of Western guilds are going to be giving out these important items to important guild members for free, and if that's the case, then obviously this is not going to really affect your pay to win stuff. If you're wondering how much it costs to actually min-max everything outside of the trait resonance system, maxing out everything else like your traits and getting your gear and enhancing your gear, all of that stuff, on Korea it costs me somewhere between like $300 to $400 USD to max out everything, not including arc boss weapons. That's about what it cost me. And I spent a lot of money in this game building out multiple gear sets. I think that about does it for the pay to win explanation. Maybe we upload this to YouTube. If I do, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.